Welcome, family, to another episode of the MySpace Effect, Building Influence and Impact. I'm your host, Herschel M. Thank you for joining me tonight. If I sound horrible, that's because I do sound horrible. My allergies flared up this weekend, and it's been bad, so pray for me. Because I wasn't going to do an episode this week. I said, bump that. But then I thought about it. I'm just like, you know what? It's December. It's the end of the year. I said, I better do one. 2025 has seemed like a demolition year. Literally. It almost feels like God unfollowed, blocked, muted my notifications in prayer. Oh, it was rough. It was rough. And I really want to talk about how and why rejection really hit different this year for a lot of people. I want to try to give some wisdom and stuff regarding the intentionality of the breakthrough that can come from rejection and, the preparation of it and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a rough season. So hopefully, you'll enjoy this. I'm going to try to see how long I can last. But as you can tell, I sound like trash. But anyway, let's get it. Welcome to my space. You did not have to come by, but you came by anyway. Welcome to my space. Yeah. And I was sitting there reflecting earlier today. I'm just like, what can I talk about? Even reflecting on this year. One of the main things I've dealt with in life as a leader and just in general was rejection and much more. Sometimes, I had to sit back and reflect, as the year ends. Vision matters. And one has to ask, why is it that rejection this particular year may have hit harder than others? When you look at it, if I did a review, some of us lost friendships, without closure. They just faded, got weird, and got distant for no reason. And some of us were replaced in rooms we had built. You as leaders, you trained people, been there for it, helped them, and then they acted like you never existed. And for some, church relationships may have got a little murky, got a little shaky. In some capacity, people have served faithfully, but you still feel unseen, have felt unseen and undervalued. And that's something that I have witnessed personally throughout this whole year in many capacities. Appreciate the gift, need the gift, but can care less about me, the person. And that is rampant. That's really rampant. And I am shocked. I'm very shocked. But there's a purpose in all of this stuff. For some, you were loyal to people more than they were loyal to you. And you kept showing up for people who stopped showing up for you. People may have tried to take leaps. New jobs, new cities, new relationship. And really, the more that for basketball terminology, more I kept shooting, nothing but stick, nothing would make. I couldn't, make any points. And ultimately, sometimes they can make you think you're the problem. And really, it's protection. That's what it is. This year, I believe, has exposed people. It has revealed motives. It has revealed season, and it has revealed alignment. That's why it is imperative, as a leader to really understand the difference between rejection and promotion, because there is a spiritual logic that is attached to that. So I'll give you some examples, because sometimes people have a difficult time seeing what God is doing behind the scenes. And that can be very challenging, because I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but we have people that they have to know everything. A lot of people don't live by faith. They live by convenience. I have to know everything. It's about control. But that's the whole purpose of faith. I was telling somebody the other day, uncertainty is not the flaw of faith. It's actually the whole purpose for faith in God. So I want to give some examples of the distinction, how you can understand the difference between rejection and promotion. So one example I thought about is how for some you can be benched at a job. Some haven't been promoted because the next thing God has for you would have kept you stuck for another 5 years. And I think about myself, you don't want to get assignment confused with destiny. I think some hardship in my life I've dealt with this year is because if people would have been what I may have needed, then I would allow that moment, that season, or that assignment to be my destiny. And it would have really been heartbreaking. Ultimately, I guess what I'm trying to say is that sometimes people have to reject and mishandle you so that from a place of identity, how can I say this? Who you are is not tied to people who actually accept you. There has to be a level of maturity. Because some people, the way they move in life, their destiny is based on how people treat them or accept them. And I've been a casualty of that. And that was a hard lesson I had to learn this year. Another distinction between rejection versus promotion is when people suddenly get quiet on you. Sometimes that distance isn't created because something is wrong. It's created because your spirit was growing and theirs wasn't. Sometimes you outgrow people. Really want to change. Now, that rejection is real, but really it's promotion. Because if you outgrow something, if I've learned everything I need to learn and passed all the tests at this one level, it's time for me to go to the next level. And that will involve rejection for sure. Another example is how sometimes in churches, I mentioned that earlier, but just in leadership in general, how sometimes leadership can overlook one's contribution. But the reality is that you weren't necessarily overlooked. God was just making sure you didn't get too attached to a place He never intended you to retire in. That was a struggle for me. Earlier this year, there was a pastor I was helping and he died, and I realized he wanted me to be the church administrator. And so I wanted to continue his legacy. But my assignment was with him. And I had to learn that, I wouldn't say the hard way, but I had to learn it through patience. That's why after he had passed away, it seemed like everything crashed and burned because I was rejected and his wishes wasn't honored. But really, I was being promoted because it was time for me to take all of that he affirmed and move it towards what I'm trying to do and others that would actually appreciate it. The people at the church, they didn't appreciate him, nor the vision that he had. And that's hard to say. That's just the truth. Because if you appreciated him, then you would have honored and appreciated what he left in place in the sense of moving forward for as the vision that God had given him. And so for me, mentioning that, it forced me to have to continue to grow and grow up. And as a result, I've been promoted in a great way because I'm doing things I never thought I'd be able to do under these rightful, better circumstances. And I hope that encourages somebody that have gone through some stuff to see things differently in that aspect too. I think my last example that I had was this dating. How things can fall apart within 3 to 6 months. Some things are just not rejection. It's God saving our emotional years by letting it fall or fail early. That can be a hard pill to swallow. Pause. That can be hard. Praise the Lord. That can be tough. Yeah, that can be real tough. But here's the thing. God never rejects us. He just repositions us. That's really what he does. And once we understand that, that changes everything. And it really allows us to really be able to see better the signs that we weren't necessarily being rejected, but more so, as people would say, I try to be careful because I don't like cliches or rhyming, but it's just the timing, huh? But some things you're just not being rejected, you're being redirected. And one of the signs is, number one, is you stop feeling connected. Sometimes in life, you can be in a room full of people and still feel alone. That's not necessarily loneliness. That could be misalignment. Number two, your value didn't match their investment. You gave your excellence. You gave excellence. But in return, you got convenience. And that can be heartbreaking. That can be heartbreaking. But you have to set aside emotions and see it for what it is. Because it is a It's not necessarily rejection. It is a redirection. Number 3, the environment stopped feeding you. Some of us have been places where we used to feel inspired, but now we feel drained. I can't get out of here quick enough. Please. I mentioned this earlier in a sense, but I'll say it again. This is another point. You outgrew the people around you. For some, you're trying to talk vision, talk plans, and it's met with gossip, immature, just like, okay, that's good in its own time. But right now, let's talk life. Can we build? I got plans for next year. Let's talk about that. And they still stuck on petty drama from last year before last, something yesteryear. You know what I'm saying? And that can be frustrating. But again, that's redirection, not necessarily rejection. My last point is you feel a spiritual itch that wouldn't go away. That feeling of I'm supposed to be somewhere else, doing something else, but I don't know what yet. My time here is running out. It's not the same. The thrill is gone. Huh? That's really redirection talking. That's redirection talking. That's redirection talking. That's exactly what that is. Like I ain't supposed. Okay, we'll leave that alone. Y'all can look at the phone, look at your TV screen, like y'all know what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's fine. Let me take a sip of my drink. One of the things I want to talk about tonight, even in mentioning all of this, is the purpose of rejection. I want to give you some type of language of what God was doing and is doing in your life so you can understand the purpose behind rejection. Now, I'm not going to make this a Bible study. I'm going to make this very practical. And if you want some Bible verse and all that stuff, just hit me. We got Bible study. Right now, I'm just trying to give you some wisdom. You feel me? And all of this can be found biblically. But my purpose is just to give you something, wisdom that can help along with your journey. Sometimes the hidden purpose of rejection is to sever soul ties to dysfunctional systems. Some of us stay loyal to chaos because we've called it family. Yeah. And God had to pull us out before it destroyed us. And that is something that God doesn't want. He doesn't want for people. He don't want you to continue to have unhealthy soul ties to dysfunctional systems. I don't care if it's in relationship, in churches, businesses, partnership. It don't matter. That's across the board. Another hidden purpose of rejection is building emotional independence. Sometimes you'll have to learn how to encourage yourself because the people you depend on are not dependable and weren't dependable during your time of need. Couldn't pick up the phone call, but listen, every time you needed me, I'm there. I drop what I got going on to help you. And when I need, I'm absent. That's why some people go out and do things. I just say that. Yeah, to try to cope. Because life is hard. You drain yourself, you be there for people when it's time for you. Nah, I'm not there. Another capacity of the purpose or hidden purpose of rejection is to train some of us not to seek validation from fathers. Some of us, no matter what it is, we're going to keep looking for mentors to approve us. Just going to happen. Sometimes God has to cut that desire because our next season requires internal validation, not external permission. Mentors are good. Don't get it twisted. Mentors, accountability, all that is great. I'm talking specifically those that are actually seeking validation from fathers. Another hidden purpose of rejection is hardening our spirit without hardening our heart. Some of us have a difficulty in becoming stronger without becoming bitter. But once you're able to do that, that's true growth. That's true growth. I can be stronger, but I'm not bitter. I'm not mad. That don't mean, don't get it twisted. But I'm showing what true growth looks like when you can become stronger without becoming bitter. And then another hidden purpose of rejection is making sure elevation doesn't turn into bondage. If people celebrated us, we would have stayed. But because we've been mishandled, now you're free to move. I'm good. I'm good, homie. I'm good. I'm out. It can be tough, but at the same token, it's so liberating. Let me hurry and get done because this is supposed to be a quick episode. I ain't trying to be all day. Y'all hanging out with me? Appreciate it. Appreciate it. So you have to ask yourself, what was God really doing this year with all of this rejection on purpose? And really it's to prepare us for 2026 and beyond. Because the reality, a lot of things are changing right now. 2026, next year and beyond, is really going to require a different version of us. More a version that's healed, that's focused, and that's emotionally strong. And so that's important because you'll be able to navigate your next connections because your connection will be based on assignment and not attachment. Some of us struggle with that. I need you to hear what I'm saying. Yeah, we struggle with that as leaders. Yeah, we do. You know, some are just cold-blooded and rough. I'm trying to give you the key to wisdom, how to navigate. Because like I said, I'm trying not to go down a rabbit hole on this. But again, what I talked about earlier, I wanted to leave alone. But I'm seeing it. You have leaders that's been hurt and they are Ray Charles. You know, like I can't see nothing, you know, somebody bleeding out and I can't see it. I just, you know, Georgia, you know, they can't see nothing. They Ray, you know, they can't see nothing. And then you have some that are emotionally not mature and they get attached and it ruins the whole purpose of something because emotion, self get in the way, you know. You don't need that. You need connections based on assignment, not attachment. And next year and beyond, God will send you in the rooms that will require confidence, not insecurity. And that's important because the platforms that you'll get and where we go as we level up collectively will require us not to be codependent on approval. So one can look at this year as pruning and one could look at going into next year as producing. Just trying to help make sense of some stuff. This may apply to some, you know, it may not. I know it's where I'm at, and I believe, based on what I've been exposed to and listened to and talked to, it's just there's a vast majority of others that this applies to as helping. I want to give some things that people can actually use this week and utilize before the year is out. You can really start right now. Don't chase what detached. If they didn't clap for you this year, don't audition for them next year. Huh? Yeah, don't do it. Accept seasons changing. As I shared before in another podcast, you have to stop resurrecting relationships God has already buried. Yeah, you have to stop doing that. And then validate yourself. Start speaking over yourself instead of waiting for somebody to hype you up. One of the abilities of being able to do that is strengthening your emotional core. Yeah, go to therapy. Have some prayer time. Get in the gym. Huh? Get in the gym. Stop making excuses. Now, I can stay on that. I'm going to get some content. Y'all going to see what I'm talking about. I got some new content coming soon. Yeah. Get in that gym. That's discipline. A lot of people can't reach nothing because you lack discipline. You may be great in one area and they can get you far. You're still limited, huh? You need discipline. Get in that gym. Figure it out. Even if you can go to the gym, you know, bring the gym home to your house. But get the job done. I'm passionate about that. Get the job done. Strengthen, you know, another way of being able to strengthen your emotional core is get some boundaries. Don't be fearful and scared of doing what you got to do to protect your peace and obtain peace. Yeah. And then make sure you take time for some solo time for yourself. That's so important in building and strengthening your emotional core. Prepare for new rooms. Prepare for new rooms. One thing I was going to teach on my other channel, my ministry channel, is how when Jesus came, there was no room in the inn. They had to find somewhere else. And a lot of times in our life, we can't really get what God wants because we got too much clutter. Yeah. And if some of us is about to sit at tables where our name has already been discussed, we need to make sure we have room. Yeah, when opportunity knocks, it's too late to prepare. So prepare for that. Prepare for new rooms. Get ready. Do it now. Stop looking. Matter of fact, cut this pocket. No, miss me. Don't cut it off. Don't cut it off. Wait till afterwards. But make new rooms now. Let me hurry up. I got to get done with this. Position yourself. Skill up. Do some rebranding. Get more discipline. Start the thing you keep putting off. And I'm talking to myself too. I'm grateful to have some people around me that just, they're nice and sweet. Some people's a nice, sweet mean. Woo! But, I'm grateful for the people that God has blessed me to be around and have come to my life to push me to the next level. So before I go, because I said I wanted this to be short, before I go, I want to leave this with you, just some thoughts. Understand this, hear what I'm saying. You're not behind. You're not late. You have not missed anything God intended for you. Everything you lost in 2025 this year, everything that walked away, every person that mishandled you, every door closed was a part of our alignment, not our abandonment. So what that's going to do is going to allow us to step into next year with a healed heart, a clear vision, and most importantly, hear this, a stronger identity. Stronger identity. So take a moment just to breathe deep. This is your opportunity. Breathe deep. Release what was and embrace what's next. And I want you to understand something. I'm a witness to this. The same God who protected you in rejection is the same God who will elevate you in purpose. Believe that. Two things that hinder God: doubt and unbelief. Doubt and unbelief. So believe that. You can take that to the bank. This is the MySpace Effect. Your influence matters. Your story matters. Your next season starts now. I'm out.